So is now the best time to buy an EV in Australia? We'll go through 3 reasons why you might get the best bang for your buck right now. The first one's choice. We've got more choice than ever before. The second is factory and end of financial year deals are everywhere at the moment. And finally, the icing on the cake, it's the perfect time of the year to test out your negotiation skills. So in today's video, we'll delve into these 3 reasons, as well as uncovering the brand that's currently offering up to $25,000 off its launch model price. So stay with us. This video is brought to you by Regen EV Charging Install, Australia's residential and commercial EVSE installation specialists. Links to these sponsors are in the show notes. Hi, my name's Greg and welcome to Electric Car Australia, the Aussie EV channel with real-world insights, comment and advice. Well, it's been a while since my last video, and if you'd like to know why there's been such a radio silence over the last couple of months, stay tuned till the end of the video and we'll cover that off. So here in Brisbane, it's a great day today. We're in the front yard of the house. I was going to grab the EV and head out to a nice location to shoot the video, but with little kids events, it's really hard to get the car these days. So here we are in the front yard. But let's get into the video. The reason we're here today to talk about if now's the right time to pull the trigger if you've been thinking of an EV. And what we're going to do is we're going to flip the order of the reasons there. So we're going to first look at negotiation, then we'll have a look at choice and then deals. And there's many brands and models that we'll cover today when we're looking at deals, and there's also some that you mightn't have heard of, so stay tuned for that. So first up, let's look at negotiation. Now personally, I don't mind wheeling and dealing a bit and negotiating on a product or service. Some people aren't into it, but if you are, now is a perfect time to do it. Now this obviously only refers to the face-to-face type stuff if you're going into a deal, and not so much the online pre-orders or online ordering. But look, some of the things that you can negotiate, and it's not always on price, you can negotiate on some additional extras, colours, so upgrade your colours at no cost, accessories, last year's models, so if people or dealers are clearing out models, you can wheel and deal on the pricing of those sometimes. I've got a separate video that I'd done last year on end of financial year sales, etc., and I had a lot more info in that, so I'll put a link to that in the show notes. But why is now a good time to negotiate? Well, dealers and sales managers are always chasing or always looking to improve their sales numbers. So as we come up to the end of each calendar month, that's a great time to go into a dealership and start wheeling and dealing on the purchase of a vehicle, whether it's an EV or a normal one. And in particular now, obviously with the end of tax year coming up next month, again, that amplifies that even more. So the guys, not only are they looking for their end of month sales, they're actually looking for the end of financial year sales. So you'll be able to negotiate a lot harder this time of the year on any of those bits and pieces. Also, it's a cooler time of the year, so middle of the calendar year in in Australia is obviously our autumn winter, so there's less people out and about, there's less events, so there's less foot traffic. So sometimes that's also a reason that you can get a better deal. There's not as many people going into dealers, and there's less travelling, camping, biking, dog walking, etc. So people aren't really thinking about upgrading cars because they're not doing as many of those sorts of events. So all those things provide a great opportunity to talk to your dealer and maybe wheel and deal on a better deal. So the second reason's choice. Now I mentioned we've got more choice than ever in Australia. Going back a couple of years ago when we bought our MG ZS EV, there was very, very little on the market. We sort of had the Tesla Model 3, we had the Nissan Leaf, I think the Mitsubishi IMEV might have been finished its sales, so there was really nothing around. The MG ZS EV, when that launched 5 years ago at a reasonable price back then, that was sort of the only model that was available in that lower price bracket. Now we've got over 40 brands in Australia, so it has absolutely exploded. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. One of the reasons I've been spending a lot of time on upgrading my website, and we're listing all those brands and models now, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that EV library now, we've got 43 brands that sell EVs in Australia, which is absolutely amazing. So there's a lot more competition in the market. So now when you're talking to your dealer, about purchasing an EV, especially if you want a mid-sized SUV. It's just amazing how many we've got. All that's competition that helps you wheel and deal for a better buy. So now let's talk deals. Now this is the exciting one. This is where you're going to save cold hard cash, and it might be a great way to convince your other half or your partner that you really do need a new EV. So let's look at some of the deals around. And as we get into the deals, there's a couple of things that I'll mention in this video. I've probably missed some. So I've spent a couple of weeks researching this, looking at websites. So there could even be a couple that have popped up since I've done my research. So please, it's not an exhaustive list. If you notice that I've missed something, pop it in the comments to help the other viewers and cover it off in case I've missed it. I'll only look at 100% electric vehicles, so I'm not looking at those crazy hybrid things, even if they are a plug-in hybrid. I'm sticking with the 100% electrics. There's discounts, dollar discounts, so that's hard money off the recommended price, but also model upgrades. So we're looking at some things where you can get a free upgrade on a model. Not so much on leases. I mentioned a couple of leases, but if you are into leases, that's probably more research you'll need to do on your own. And be aware, most of these deals finish on the 30th of June, so that makes sense. You've got to get your orders in before the end of June. You can take delivery of the vehicle later, but the dealer will want it locked in, your deposit paid, maybe even the full amount paid before the end of the year, so he or she can lock that into their sales numbers. And finally, I'll include some photos as we go through the brands and the models, and please be aware these are just screenshots off the manufacturer's websites, and I might also have a couple of shots in there of my new EV library on my website. So first up, let's get into the big boy in town, so Tesla. Tesla's always the talk of the town. Now there's some big headlines at the moment on Tesla's sales drops globally, and also all this stuff going on with Elon Musk being part of Donald Trump's US government cost-cutting adventures. So we won't get into any of that, but suffice to say there is reduced pricing on the new Tesla Model 3 on inventory cars, so you can save around $3,000 now on stock that Tesla has in showrooms or available to purchase now. The Model Y, there's some big savings there. $13,000 off a brand new Model Y. That's if you buy the older models. So not the refresh model, the older model, but if you do want a largish sort of electric SUV and you like that Tesla style, 13K isn't a bad price. Let's have a look at Nissan. Now Nissan have no EVs currently in Australia as far as I know. They've got no EV deals going at the moment. They're mainly finance deals, 1.9 to 4.9%. So like I said, we won't go into those too much. But something of note on Nissan, unfortunately globally, given they were a leader in the EV space, they've really dropped down. Now they made a $7 billion loss in the last year. They've cut another 10,000 people from their global staff. So that's a total of 20,000 people have gone from Nissan in the last 6 months. At the moment, no EV deals, and let's hope Nissan can hang in there. Ford. So Ford have not got any big splash advertising on their website. However, they do have up to $10,000 off the Mach-E GT EV. So there's deals to be had on all their EV range or Mach-E range, but the biggest one's 10K off. So that's $94,000 drive away. That's not a cheap car in Australia, disappointingly, because I don't mind the Mach-E, but it's very expensive. However, that was around $25,000 off the original launch price of that car. So that vehicle, they've been slowly moving that pricing down to be competitive. Hyundai, no EV specials or deals whatsoever when I checked. So they're obviously selling their vehicles quite well, don't need to discount them. One thing I did notice on some of these brands, some are doing some Google advertising and social media advertising, some aren't. So even though Hyundai don't have any deals, they are paying for some Google advertising. Kia, no deals and no advertising. So I'd take from that Kia's sales of EVs are selling through nicely. They don't need to do any promotions or deals to move stock. Toyota, as most people will know, only offer one EV in Australia. That's the BZ4X. And there's a deal on finance, but only on demo models. So 1.9% finance on the 2023 model, BZ4X demo. So nothing flash on the Toyota. Mazda, they don't have any EV deals, and similar to Nissan, they're playing around with a few lease discounts on the rest of their range. Skoda. Now Skoda have a couple of offers up, but they're pretty low key, no big splash on their website, but they've got no EVs either on discount. But check out my website, you'll see a screenshot there. This is an example of the types of information and detail I've got in the website now, so that might help you out if you are looking to compare some vehicles and do some research as well. Let's look at Volkswagen. So they've got current offers is the pitch of their deals, but no deals on their EVs. As you'd know, in Australia, Volkswagen have been very slow out of the gate with introducing electric vehicles down under. Very disappointing. They did have some good vehicles. They're just starting to roll them out now. But I do think they've really missed the boat. Volvo, so we've got some new car offers from Volvo. So they've got a decent range of EVs, $5,000 cash back on the EX40 electric model and also the petrol model. So the electric model of the EX40 is just above 70,000 on the base model. So there is a discount on that. The EX30, so that's their smaller one, they're giving a $1,000 upgrade from the single motor to the twin motor. So no discounts, but the upgrade cost is only $1,000 if you want to go from single motor to dual motor on the EX30. The MG website, so they've got a bit of a splash end of financial year, up in lights, lots of graphics in there, but they're only giving $1,000 factory bonus on the MG4. So I guess the MG4 is already a reasonably priced model, so $1,000 off that isn't too bad. The big savings to be had are on the old clearance MG ZS EVs. So same as my car, except I've got the original 2020 model. These are the refreshed models. They're discontinuing them in Australia or globally, so they're selling those through. If you're a fleet buyer, you can get up to $15,000 off those end of model clearance ZS EVs. I think what MG is doing, they're looking for customers that are going to bulk buy those and just get them out of their inventory so that they can introduce their new EVs. And again, a plug for my EV library. Check it out. We've got all the info on new EVs coming to Australia. BYD, so as per all the headlines, BYD are really starting to get some traction globally in EVs, and that shows because they've actually got no end of financial year deals, they've got no end of month deals, etc. going. Couple on some hybrids, so again, not 100% electric, so we won't talk about those. Polestar, so Polestar's been around for a while, hasn't made much of an inroad, I'd say, into electric vehicles. They've got some low-key offers going at the moment, mainly around complimentary plus packs. So one thing that disappoints me about Polestar, you see a headline introduction price for a vehicle, and then if you want some accessories or some upgrades, it's a bit like BMW and Mercedes, some of those premium brands, you've got to pay a lot of money to upgrade. They are giving you a complimentary upgrade on some of those plus packs. So if you're interested in a Polestar, check those out. Those plus packs can be worth between $4,000 and $9,000. So as I said, they're pretty expensive, these packs. Subaru, end of financial year deals, none on their single electric vehicle model that they have in Australia, which is called the Solterra. So no deals on that. That is a clone of the Toyota. The Toyota and the Subaru, both the same vehicle. No deals on those at either brand. Next up, Cupra Born. So Cupra Born is the electric model vehicle they've got. There is no big splash, but there is approximately $10,000 to $15,000 lower price than it was earlier this year. So they're not necessarily saying it's an end of financial year deal sale, but you can save a significant amount of money on those from what they were priced at earlier in the year. And again, that comes down to competition. There's a lot of competition in the space that Cupra Born sits in. Jeep, so you might not know that Jeep have an electric vehicle on sale in Australia. Again, check out my website for details on that, but they do. It's a single electric model. It's called the Avenger. no deals on it. I have not seen one on the road, so they're not a very popular seller, and I doubt whether they'd have much inventory in Australia. So let's have a look at the Mini. Obviously a very different vehicle to that introduced years ago, but the latest Mini, the 2024 plate clearance, there is some deals on that. There's up to $500 off, I think, if you pay a $3,000 deposit. Bonus on finance, so if you finance one of those, they will give you a discount. Finance rates at the moment is around 2.997%. So if you're into finance and you're thinking of a Mini, check that out. Zeekr. So Zeekr is a brand that's been making some waves in Australia. They've got some really nice cars. They've sort of pitched it at their premium end. No deals on the go at the moment. So again, they obviously don't need to worry too much about moving inventory. Renault. Now Renault's got a couple of models. They've got some in the commercial van space, but their primary one in the sort of retail domestic space is their Megane E-Tech. That's not a bad car. I'd done a video on that a little while ago, so if you're interested, have a look in the channel. It's 58,000 drive away at the moment. Now I'm not sure that's a deal, but it is definitely cheaper than they were. So again, I think the competition is pushing those guys to drop those prices a bit. So have a chat to a dealer, and again, I think you'd be able to negotiate a bit better deal than that. GWM. Now they're got some more EV vehicles coming, but the one at the moment that they're pushing is the Aura. Now this is a great little car. It's a pretty funky little car. Again, I've got an interview with some owners on the channel, so if you're interested with that, do a search on the channel and look that one up. You've got $2,000 to $4,000 off the Aura model at the moment, so depending on which model you buy, and be aware that's 2024 stock. So again, they're trying to clear out that inventory from last year, and that's about $34,000 drive away, so not a bad little car. So now let's have a look at some lesser known brands. So I'm pretty sure you've probably heard of most of those other brands, but now we're going to have a look at either some new brands or some brands that are sort of flying under the radar. So first up is Geely. So Geely is a parent Chinese company. They've got lots of smaller brands underneath them, including Volvo and Polestar. So they're both Geely company brands, but Geely have launched under their own brand, and they've got one model in Australia now. It's the EX5, and they've got a green light end of financial year offer. Now this vehicle's only just launched, but obviously they're putting a little bit more powder behind these sales. $2,000 gift card, and they're giving you 5 years of complimentary servicing. They're also throwing in a level 2 charge cable, and they're providing an extra $2,000 on your trade-in. Now that one's a bit rubbery, because how do you know whether they're adding the $2,000 to your trade-in or not? But it's worth giving it a shot. If you've got an old car and you want to trade it in, and you've had a couple of trade-in prices somewhere else, take it into Geely and see if it's a legitimate, genuine $2,000 on top of what you could get somewhere else. But interesting, they are discounting it, even though they've only just launched it. And luckily enough, the first Queensland Geely dealership is in Springwood, just down the road from me. Opened 2 weeks ago, so I'm hoping to go down there, have a chat to the guys, maybe do an interview, hopefully get a car and do a real world review for it. So keep watching on the channel for that one. Leapmotor. So Leapmotor's been out for a little while. They've got one 100% electric model at the moment. It's called the C10. Low key, not really any big deals, but they are offering 1.9% finance and a free home charger. So it's an SUV. It's sort of on the more larger size, closer to the Model Y size. So, but it is a budget model vehicle. So if you're looking for something a little bit bigger, budget, check out Leapmotor. Xpeng. I like the look of Xpengs. They're a more premium sort of model. They've got one model in Australia at the moment called the G6. They're not offering discounts as far as dollars, but they've extended their warranty out to 10 years. So that's on the drivetrain, the battery, on the car itself. So if you're looking at Xpeng, it's worth maybe inking a deal before the end of next month, and you'll get that 10-year warranty. Skywell, this is a brand that is probably not very well known at all. The importer of this vehicle into Australia is based here in Brisbane. Over the next little while, we're looking to do some more interviews with those guys. They've got some commercial vehicles, so they've got a couple of vans, an EC11 cargo van. They're doing a 2024 model run out on that. $60,000 drive away, and they also have an EC11 12-seater or up to 12-seater passenger van, so ideal for, I don't know, daycare centres, aged care homes and that sort of thing. They call that a crew van, and that starts at $120,000, so there is some deals on those. They do have a passenger vehicle coming shortly, the BE11. Again, details on my website on that one. Not on the market as yet, but it isn't far away. Chery, another Chinese, more budget brand in Australia. Latest deals up to $6,000 off the Leapmotor E5 electric. All these acronyms for models, you get tongue twisted. So that is quite a big discount, so I'm assuming sales are a little bit slow on those. I've only seen a couple on the road. Chery E5 motor, up to $6,000 off, so that price starts around $39,500 drive away. Deepal, another new brand that is releasing models. Interesting, again, check out my website on the EV library for this one. They've got a model that is sort of a rip-off of the Tesla Cybertruck. So we can't buy the Cybertruck in Australia, but very shortly, if not now, you can place pre-orders for the Deepal model. So have a look at that. It's a strange looking vehicle, but it could actually be quite practical. I'd like to see one in the flesh. But the ones you can buy now, 2024 model, end of financial year deals, you can save up to $3,000. Drive away prices start at $50K, and they are also providing 12 months of free charging. I think that's via an EV charge card. And finally, let's have a look at some luxury brands. So of course, there's some luxury brands in Australia. One we haven't heard from for a long time in Australia, since I was a kid actually, Cadillac. So Cadillac have launched back in Australia at the moment. Again, check out my EV library for the details on that model. It's called the Lyric, big seller in the US, very expensive vehicle, I would say. I think from memory it's over 120K. Big vehicle, typical American style and sized vehicle, no deals. So Cadillac have launched here, but they're not really pushing those yet. BMW, they've got a deal event on, it's called the Expo event. They've got 276 electric vehicle demos across Australia, and those prices have been discounted to get rid of that demonstrator stock. They start at 70,000 drive away, and that's for the smaller iX1. Lexus, no deals on EVs, no advertising, so Lexus are just flying under the radar, relying on the brand conscious people that always buy Lexus. They don't need to give them any deals, they'll just buy one anyway. Audi, pretty much the same thing, no deals or rebates or discounts going with Audi. Audi buyers are probably going to buy an Audi no matter what, so they don't need to worry. Mercedes have a few, so Mercedes have got quite a big electric range. They're calling theirs the end of financial year event, loud and proud, no hiding the fact there that they're looking at some deals. The EQE electric sedan, really stylish looking car, 0% finance on that, and they're giving you a $2,000 contribution towards your least cost as well. But of course, that car starts at $137,000 here in Australia, so way out of my league. Won't be a deal that I'll be having a look at, but if you are that way inclined and you're looking for a Merc, now could be the time to do it. Well, that's it. The deals, like I said, I might have missed some, but I really hope if you are considering an EV, I hope that gave you a few ideas on some more research. So look, finally to wrap up, why has there been so much radio silence in the electric car Australia space recently? Now look, there's been a couple of reasons, and I did mention the upgrade to the website. So I've been doing that all myself with some assistance from my better half. Been working on that for probably about 4 months. When you look at the refresh website, you probably won't know where that time's gone, but it does take a significant amount of time to research the vehicles, put them all up. We changed website providers, so we've got a different look and feel and stuff, so a lot of work has gone into that. So unfortunately there's only so many hours in a day, so while I've been doing that over the last 4 months, I haven't been doing videos, so now we're trying to get back in a bit of a balance. There's also been a lot of other stuff going on in my personal life, and that started to weigh me down a little bit as well, so I had to take a bit of a break and look at what things that I could cut back on. Videos again was one of those. So look, slowly starting to get back on the horse, This is obviously the first video. I've got some video that I shot last year when I was over in Hungary on holidays, and that's around Szeged, so that's one of the cities in Hungary, particularly where BMW are building their battery plant for Europe. So that's where they're going to build all the BYD blade batteries for all their European and potentially some Australian models, depending on what happens. So I've got a video where we'll go through the construction of that plant. I've actually driven past last year where that was going. But before that, I've got a video of Szeged, so it's just a bit of a walk around of the city, a bit of an introduction to you guys. So those sorts of videos are going to start to flow through. And we've also got obviously a lot of local content and ideas that we'll be working on. And of course, a big thank you to the people who have stuck with me. So I've got a couple of financial supporters, so really appreciate your work. Obviously, we don't do the videos to make money, but really appreciate those people that kick a couple of dollars in to help pay for the camera gear and all that sort of thing via PayPal, Ko-fi, Patreon, that sort of stuff. Just on that note, I'll put up a screenshot there. Algorithms have changed for YouTube videos, unfortunately, in the last sort of 12 months. You've probably heard other content creators and other videos you watch mention this. If you're a smaller channel, the algorithms have really steered away from us. You know, you really need to be in that as a minimum 100,000 subscribers and up to 1 million subscribers. That's where the algorithms focus. The screenshot just there shows in the last month 30,100 minutes of my videos watched, which is quite a lot, and that equates to around 10 cents per hour of return I got on that for the ads that were placed on my videos. So yeah, the income you get from YouTube, etc. now is basically zero. It's all the financial supporters. So those people that give you a couple of dollars a month or $5 a month, so it really helps out. And of course, my channel supporters, so thanks very much for Aaron from Regen EV Charging Installs support. Aaron's been a long time supporter. I love Aaron's work. I've been a customer of Aaron's for a number of years. I've paid for various work that Aaron's done. So yeah, really can vouch for Aaron's work and quality of the products and services he does, and it's Australia-wide. So if you're thinking of getting a EV charger installed, whether that's at your home, at your work, or even a larger commercial operation, Aaron's your man, so please reach out to him and have a chat. So that's it, I've waffled on enough. Thanks very much for joining me on my first video back in a while. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel, give it the thumbs up and share it with your mates. They're those little things that help those algorithms along. So that's it, look after your friends, family, stay safe, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.